Welcome to the Back in Time podcast with Kyle and JD, where every week we jump into our DeLorean, cruise to 88 miles per hour, and travel back in time to review our favorite films. Every week we talk about current cinema, the latest trailers, and we pick a new favorite film every single episode.
But I need a nuclear reaction to generate the 1.21 gigawatts of electricity. 1.21 gigawatts!
Don't say that! Never say that! Goonies never say die!
We're the best, we're the beautiful, we're the only Ghostbusters.
Now, here's your host, Kyle Autry, and his co-host, JD.
Welcome back to the Back in Time podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Autry, joined as always by my co-host, JD. JD, can you dig it?
Fool, I can dig it like none other, but tonight you can call me Bill Wennington because I'm slam dunking and jamma ramming.
Dude, I'm really impressed. You just came up with that right off the top of your head, didn't you?
Well, yeah, Bill Wennington is an excellent basketball player who played with the Chicago Bulls and had a hamburger named after him at McDonald's called the Beef Wennington, so obviously it sticks in my heart.
Canada's very own, the Canadian Hall of Famer Bill Wennington. Go ahead and Google that, people. Now,
There's a Canadian Hall of Fame?
Yeah, sure is. I think it just has him and Steve Nash, though. Hey, you guys are listening to the teaser trailer episode, and we're discussing the 1994 sport drama film Blue Chips that you guys voted on our Twitter. And you guys can follow us on Twitter, speaking of that, at Back in Time Pod. We're also on Instagram, Facebook. We've got a website, backintimepod.wordpress.com. You can read all the blogs. You can listen to JD's secret diary that he's been posting on there. It's fantastic, albeit it's a little weird, but he's been putting a lot of effort into it. So check that out.
Well, it's a secret diary, and you need to have the code word to even access the back page quadrant in order to get the contents. And I'm not passing out the glasses to be able to read the invisible ink. Just come on.
Is the password not Hulk Hogan?
Nacho ordinary Hulk Hogan.
Nice. And then also, help us continue to grow this podcast. If you really like it, go on to Apple Podcast or Google Play, drop us a 5-star review, write a couple sentences. It might take you all of about 30 seconds. No big deal. I mean, it just affects our life. So I guess if you don't like us, don't do that. Also, we hate you if you don't like us.
It's true. It's like would fart into a fan and blow it at you because why don't you like us?
Right. So weird. I want to thank our sponsor, Bunny17 Media, who helps bring you this podcast completely free. Go over to their site, Bunny17 Media, use promo code BACKINTIME at checkout, and save 15%. They got a bunch of really good books over there. I'm a big fan of How to Stop Being an Asshole in 10 Easy Steps. We tried that on JD. It did not work. I still give a glowing review, though. I think it was a good shot. He's a tough one to crack.
Well, it's my superpower. You have to understand, some people can stop bullets. I can stop polite behavior. Assholism comes deep from within oneself and manifests in a great power. I'm an asshole. I accept it.
JD, let's talk first memories of Blue Chips. This came out in 1994. That would make you 9 years old, maybe 8, because I think it was February. So yeah, probably 8 years old. You probably watched it the first time at Blockbuster, maybe?
I remember when this movie came out. I remember watching the trailer. I remember this was in the middle of the Bulls' chaos of basketball nonsense. So I was obviously a massive basketball fan and knew everything about basketball. So we're knee-deep right in basketball fever. We have NBA Jam coming out for consoles in 93, TE coming out in 94. I was like every other young American kid. Basketball was life. It didn't matter. I couldn't dribble the ball. Doesn't matter. I was super excited about this movie. I want to say it was either a Blockbuster rental and then a repeat on HBO when they used to show movies nonstop. And I haven't seen the movie since.
JD, were you a fan of those NBA Jam games back in the day?
Oh, absolutely. Little known fact about me, I actually won an NBA Jam tournament at Blockbuster Video, and they used to do Sega video game tournaments. So I was the NBA Jam champion.
We've been down this road before. Just how many kids actually showed up to these tournaments that you keep claiming to win?
There was hundreds.
Really?
But here's the thing. Okay, so to be fair, the thing is, it was a points tournament. So you played against the computer, and whoever scored the most points won the tournament. So it wasn't a one-to-one tournament.
Okay. Well, who was your go-to tandem for NBA Jam?
Early in my NBA Jam career, it was the Indiana Pacers because Reggie Miller just could not miss from the outside.
Yeah.
When I play the game now, I always pick the Sacramento Kings.
Oh, interesting. I think they have Lionel Simmons and Mitch Richmond in that one, but yeah, why do you think you went away from Indiana Pacers and good old Rick Schmidt?
The Kings with Mitch Richmond, his three-point stats are very high. He's a taller avatar, so that means he can dunk and block, and his speed and his dunk and his defense are over average, so they're over 50%. So he can do everything. So he just sinks it from outside, or he can just charge to the middle and lay it down.
He was actually really underrated as a player, because in the mid-90s, he was averaging like 25 points a game. He was a stud, but he played for a crappy team in a bad market, and you just never heard of him because they never went to the playoffs.
Yeah, he's no Detlef Shrimp.
He's definitely not Detlef Shrimp. And don't call him Shrimp, it's Shrimp.
Shrimp?
Shrimp.
Shrimp?
Yeah, I don't know how to say it correctly either. My first memories would be definitely Blockbuster Rental. It was a basketball movie. It was Basketball Fever in Indiana. So any type of basketball movie that came out, including Eddie, Whoopi Goldberg, future episode, I watched everything. It was basketball related. Later on, probably Space Jam, another future episode. Hoosiers, future episode. We got a lot of basketball left in our archive here.
Hey, so who wins in a one-on-one? Juwanna Mann or Like Mike?
Ooh, Juwanna Mann.
Bold.
Let's go ahead and fire up the trailer here. If you're by a computer, have access to it, just go on to YouTube or pull up the app. You can type in Blue Chips Original Trailer, and you will be looking for the trailer titled Blue Chips Trailer, uploaded by Paramount Movies. It has 230,000 views. I'll give a 3, 2, 1 click countdown, and we will watch this together. JD, are you ready?
Yes.
That's it? Oh, you usually give me something better than that.
I'm ready. I'm saving all the NBA Jam quotes and references for after the trailer.
Well, here we go. Boom shakalaka. 3, 2, 1, click.
Any questions, stupid or otherwise? All right, Alan?
Yeah, Coach, we'd like to hear your side of the basketball kicking incident.
Alan, you used up your question. That was stupid.
I will not have the first losing season in 40 years at this university.
You are not getting the kind of athletes that we used to.
Yeah, but the program's clean, Chancellor.
It is time to tell Coach Petey Bell to take a hike.
I don't do well with losing, do I?
You've won 2 national championships. You've won 8 conference titles. I don't call this losing.
What efforts are you and your staff making as far as recruiting is concerned?
We got the inside track on some great ball players this year.
You get those guys, you are in the Final Four next year.
Let's get these guys.
He's never been coached. He's totally raw.
Neon, please try not to step on the children.
Okay, all right. If I couldn't play basketball, would you be trying to get me in college?
No.
At least you're honest.
I figure a white blue chip athlete like myself deserves something extra, about 30 grand. Like to have it in cash.
Get the hell out of here, Richie. Get out of here.
All the other schools are doing it, Coach.
I know everything. I know what Butch McRae's mother wants.
You really want your son to start out right by learning how to bend and break the rules. I mean, what's he going to become? A millionaire?
I did not authorize a car for Ricky, but you did authorize the friends of the program to do what had to be done.
He bought him, Charlie. I know he bought him.
We're going to be on top again.
cheat. A foul is not a foul unless the referee blows his whistle.
Did you take money?
No! We own this money. Don't talk to me about money! We owe it to him!
Okay, JD, start us off. What do you think about the trailer?
Well, I think we owe it to the audience to really discuss this trailer. First off, is that Madam President from Independence Day?
Sure is.
Good for her. Episode in the archives.
Absolutely.
I always forget how exciting sports movies are, especially in the 90s. Like the dramatic, in-depth, non-kids version of sports movies. And this trailer definitely tickled me where I needed to be tickled.
Yeah, I took a couple notes here. One, I like the beginning scene with Nick Nolte just ripping on all the press people, because I love it. Like when a coach, like either a pro coach or a college coach, is just like, who's got the first stupid question? Like Mike Ditka was awesome at that. People would ask him questions and he would just like rip their head off or just be like, you're a moron. Get out of here. So I love that part of it. And I've got a couple other notes. Arliss is in this, which got me really excited. Also, Ed O'Neill, Al Bundy, is like the detective. So I'm excited about that. Forgot he was even in the movie. And also, where do you think Shaq found a pair of shorts that were, one, that checkered, and two, that size? Because they're almost like capris.
Oh, those are customs. Gotta be cut. He can afford it. Everyone knows Shaq made all of his money at LSU.
That was my next question. So you beat me to it. I love it.
Future episode in the archives. In the future, basketball.
Oh, gosh, another great sport. Tell you what, you call me little bitch 9 or 10 more times, I'm out of here. JD, let's talk some box office numbers here. So Blue Chips debuted at the box office on February 18th, 1994. It was distributed by Paramount with a runtime of 107 minutes and had an estimated production budget of $35 million. Blue Chips opened number 3 at the box office in week 1, bringing in over $10 million. In week 2, it would drop to the number 5 spot, bringing in another $4 million. The 10-day total was $15.4 million. JD, thoughts on the first 10 days?
I think that's pretty respectable given the type of movie it is, the actors that it had, and the market that it was looking to sort of break into.
Okay. Shaq was hot at this point. He was a huge star. People were buying up his jerseys left and right, his shoes. Do you think the schoolyard effect was in play?
Absolutely not.
Okay. And you would be absolutely correct. They would stay one more week in the top 10 after dropping to the number 9 spot, and then completely out of theaters within 4 weeks. Blue Chips would gross $23,070,663 domestically with no international numbers. So, JD, are you surprised at all by the numbers and not being able to recoup the budget? Not even close.
I'm not surprised by the numbers. I'm a little surprised at just how big of a budget they had to begin with. To me, this doesn't seem like a $30 million movie.
Feels like they overpaid for somebody. Maybe that's Shaq. It's definitely not Penny Hardaway because he wasn't even in the NBA yet. Definitely wasn't Matt Nover because nobody on this podcast even knows who Matt Nover is. I don't know. Where did all that money go? It's definitely not in the filming production.
I mean, there are a lot of extras. There's a lot of scenes to this movie. We have a great supporting cast.
Yep.
Maybe it was just to get that Bobby Knight cameo in there.
Let's talk about the top 10 movies of the week for February 18th, 1994. Number 1 movie that week was On Deadly Ground. Number 2, Ace Ventura: Pet Detective in the Archives. Number 3, Blue Chips. Number 4, future episode, Blank Check. Number 5, Reality Bites. Number 6, Schindler's List. Number 7, My Girl 2. Number 8, Mrs. Doubtfire. Definitely a future episode. Number 9, My Father the Hero. And number 10, Philadelphia. JD, any standouts in the top 10?
Well, that's a really competitive week. Obviously, Blank Check, Ace Ventura, Mrs. Doubtfire, Philadelphia, Schindler's Fist. Like, these are some excellent movies that Blue Chips, 1, is competing against, and 2, coming in at number 3. That's pretty solid.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Very, very impressed with the list here. A lot of good movies on there. Let's do some critic and audience response. As usual, we'll use Rotten Tomatoes to gauge the response of the audience, and then we'll use Amazon to gauge the audience of the buyers. JD, how do you think the critics received Blue Chips?
Oh boy, I'm trying to put myself in the chair of a critic in 1994 who's going to take a look at this movie, and they're going to see a struggling Nick Nolte. They're going to see Shaquille O'Neal, who has moments of really vibrant performance and other moments of stop smiling. I can't remember a line that Penny Hardaway even says, but I feel like underneath all of the ham-fisted, exposition-laden story that we have, that the supporting cast at least provides something worth shimmering for, and the story that they go through, which is a real, it's not a real life story, but it is a real, this is what happens in college. And, for what it's worth, I could blow the whistle on a number of really creepy things that happened to us in college. I don't know. I had a handful of times of teachers who just told me, don't come to class and I'll give you an A. These things happen, and I feel like the critics probably responded at least somewhat favorably to that true life aesthetic that Blue Chips provides. With that being said, I really don't think that they find this to be a very enjoyable movie, and I'm going to say 23%.
Okay, good guess. So the actual audience response the actual critic response was 37% rotten. You're not far off at all. It was about 52% on the audience side, but like I said, we'll go to the Amazon reviews here to see what the people that actually purchased the DVD are saying. So out of 140 customer reviews, this movie carries a 4.4 out of 5 stars. Pretty good. Mostly 5 and 4 star reviews here. Cagney Van 67 calls this an underrated basketball movie from the 90s. He said, this movie brought me back to when I was a kid. I remember seeing this movie in theaters and liking it. I'm a huge basketball fan, and I thought the movie was a good mix of drama and comedy. And Nick Nolte is a frustrated coach who suffers his worst season as a college coach, has a good track record of winning, but simply does not have the talent. And then you enter Shaq and all the other guys that come in and the recruiting violations, and great movie overall. JD, what do you think about the review from Cagney guy?
I think that's a pretty solid review, and a lot of people, a lot of our listeners, again, you guys voted for this movie. I feel like there's a lot of nostalgia to be had. Again, the 90s, early to mid 90s were basketball fever, and most of us kids at the time were caught up in that. I know it wasn't just boys, it was girls. It was not just 4th graders, it was 8th graders. It was everybody was just sort of enamored with basketball.
I agree. Yeah, basketball could not be any bigger than what it was in the mid 1990s. And this is the Jordan era. He's actually playing minor league baseball at the time this movie came out.
And, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that everybody's a basketball fan at all. Right. I didn't play many sports when I was younger. I spent most of my time playing my clarinet and playing video games and reading comic books.
Nerd.
And getting picked on and bullied and all of those great things. But still, even if I didn't even watch many basketball games, I was still a fan. I still knew the players. I still had an Alonzo Mourning jersey.
There it is.
There was an energy about it.
You always go back to the Charlotte Hornets. I love it.
They're the best.
Hey, JD, can you name one Charlotte Hornet player right now?
Besides Alonzo Mourning and Larry Johnson?
Yeah.
Muggsy Bogues?
Anybody
Kendall
current?
Gill?
No, I mean like current, like 2018.
I thought they're not a team anymore. Are they a team again?
Oh, geez, you haven't been around the game for a while. So they weren't a team. They are a team again. They've been a team for quite a while, actually. And they're actually owned by Michael Jordan.
So the answer is Kendall Gill.
Kendall Gill is a post-game interviewer for the Bulls.
Is he really?
Yeah, he's on like the post-game show.
That's fantastic. Good for him.
With Will Perdue. Will Perdue has like
No.
banana fingers too. He's so big.
Oh boy.
It's hilarious watching him talk with his hands because his fingers are like 17 inches long. But yeah, I mean, let's hear from the critics because I love this part. You never know what old Raj is going to give us. If you had to guess, what do you think, Roger Ebert? Up or down with the thumbs?
I feel like he's going to give it the thumbs up. I feel like he's got a little bit of respect for what went down. The good acting overshadows a lot of the bad acting.
Okay. And you would be right. 3.5 out of 4 stars. And he said it shows not only a fine comic touch, but also some light-hearted humanism. Hal Hinson of the Washington Post said the filmmakers don't get the ball into Shaq's hands enough, both literally and figuratively, to make this presumable giant screen debut memorable. JD, this was a Shaq poll topic that we put up. What do you think about that review from Hal Hinson?
I feel like that's going to really stick with us and a lot of our viewers as we review this movie, that there can be more Shaq.
All right, so real quick, let's tease it one more time. When we get into Blue Chips later this week, what's one thing that you look forward to breaking down in detail?
I really want to focus on all of the times that Shaquille O'Neal smiles in this movie.
Okay.
Because I remember it being like an endless amount of him just frowning and then smiling.
That's kind of him, though. Like even if you watch him on like NBA Tonight on TNT, like that's just how he is.
He's got a lot of personality, and it comes out even non-verbally. So I love what Shaq has done with his career after basketball. I want to see him in more movies. And maybe, a Kazam return happens.
You would love that, wouldn't you?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, well, make sure you guys subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. All full episodes are up there now. Google Play as well, YouTube, all the episodes are on there as well. We're on Facebook at facebook.com/backintimepod, and you can email us at backintimepodcast@gmail.com. Also, don't forget to support our sponsor, Bunny 17 Media. Use promo code BACKINTIME at checkout, and that saves you 15%. It is time to climb back into the DeLorean, punch in today's date, and we're going to return back on Wednesday with the full episode. See ya!
Shaq Week!